Hello, I'm here.
Yes. Yeah.
Meeting.
Uh,
That's him.
Jack,
Yeah. And
Mark,
I can't.
Yes, I hear you.
Linda,
Here.
Tim,
No.
Here.
Diane,
She's on
Here,
mute.
here, here.
John. Dawn is not here yet. Chair is here. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Glenna?
Here.
There are no anticipated speakers on the agenda, but there are 4 people, as Glenna indicated, from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund here to be able to observe.
You want to go on the computer instead of the phone?
Yeah. She was talking to you.
Right there he is.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Good morning. This open meeting of the Community Preservation Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless this participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Community Preservation Committee is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website and identifying how the public may join.
They can hear me.
Please note that this meeting is recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you may broadcast may be captured by the meeting, by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. Now turning to the first item on the agenda, before we do, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, chair will go down to the line of members.
We're going to turn the phone off so until you can't hear us again.
Linda, mute your phone.
Yep. Inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or the computer when you're not speaking. Remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate for any response. Please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourselves. So that's the drill. The issue now is to go to the agenda, and which is to have a second visit on the items that we have proposed for consideration for our warrant article. I have a question for the committee. I understand John is only available to be here for the first half an hour, and he has sent me his notations with respect to each of the actionable items on the agenda. And he has been in concurrence basically with the nature of what we have funded, other than the issue with respect to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, where he would have, if he were present, would have voted for the full amount. And so the question I have is whether or not, in view of John's timetable, would the committee consider having a discussion of that first out of the order of the number that we did with respect to the first round? That's a question. And if so, if that's a positive answer, then I would entertain a motion to be made with respect to that request, and then go back to the order of the ones which we considered before. What is the pleasure? What is the pleasure of the committee?
I'll make that motion to take it out of order.
Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Second by Jack. All those in favor by roll call. Neville,
No,
Dawn, Jack,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Diane,
She's on mute.
Yes.
John, and the chair votes yes. Thank you. So the first item for consideration then is a motion with respect to the allocation of funding relative to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund request for $350,000 allocation towards the first payment of a $5 million bond. Yesterday, we had a motion that was passed to fund an amount to be determined. I have sent you the information from Brian Turbot, which indicated that it would need to be $186,000. And so the question is there a motion to support yesterday's motion, or is there a new motion with respect to the consideration of what to allocate towards the request of the CPC for Affordable Housing Trust Fund?
I'd make
Ken,
a
I'd like to make a motion, please.
Mark,
I'll make a motion to approve $2.5 million for the Affordable House Trust Fund.
is
We
there a
already did
second?
that. That's already on the table.
No,
Yeah, it's the same motion that was done yesterday.
That's
whole
the motion that's the motion that's in place.
Yeah. I'm gonna
We
make a
voted-
motion. I'll make a
we voted
motion.
and passed.
new motion.
Wait a second. So Mark, go ahead.
we voted and passed that motion, so that still stands then right now?
That still absolutely stands right now. That's the motion.
Okay.
That's the
okay.
allocation that's in
No,
place.
no.
I'll make a, I don't know what's happening over there. I'll
No,
make a
please.
motion to fully fund the full amount, the 5 million for discussion.
Is there a second to that motion?
You can second it.
Point of order.
Yeah, I,
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
yes, John?
Before we make a second motion, does the first motion have to be voted on, or does this?
No, the first motion was voted on yesterday.
first motion-
So what we're doing is seeing whether or not there is a new motion. If the new motion passes, then it overrides the motion from yesterday. If not, there ends up being a motion today that is the determination as to what we move forward with respect to our warrant. So I will second Linda's motion for an allocation of $350,000 to fund the request of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
All right, discussion on the motion.
For discussion on the motion, before we start, I just want to make one clarification to a point that Tim made yesterday. And I think this is really important. Tim made a very critical point, and he said that by committing $350,000, we were committing 23% of our available funds to one category, the affordable housing. What I think is really important to understand, and the suggestion is that we were limiting our ability to, in fact, deal with other issues. I think what is really important to understand is, first of all, there is no disagreement on my part that doing the $350,000 would represent 23% of the funds available. But what is important to understand is that as a committee, we have to allocate 35% of the funds to certain categories, 10% to each category, and 5% to administration. So that leaves 65% of the available funds available for allocation by the committee. By allocating $350,000 and that being 23%, it means that 13% of the available funds that are available for general description, namely of the 65%, would be going to one category. It would also mean that 53% of the remaining funds available for distribution are still available for the committee to allocate in any way that they desire. So while it is true that it does represent 23%, it only represents 13% of the monies that are available for distribution outside the required 65%. So I just want to make sure that with respect to Tim's concern in terms of future limitation of the amounts available, by doing this, we're only committing 13%, still leaving 52% of the available funds for any other category. So that's just a point of information with respect to the impact of what is being done. So I will open the floor to further discussion on the motion.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'll start.
Linda,
I was the original member on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. I've been on the CPC, I don't know, 15, 16 years. I've lost track. And I was originally skeptical about this until I went and did some due diligence on it, had conversations, and realized how much of the money has been used or committed that they've already gained. The original 5 million was instrumental in keeping us in safe harbor. And that's the whole point, is to gain 10% of the year-round housing stock as restricted affordable. Elaine, it's also helped establish a bunch of other units, maybe over 90 units for year-rounders. We've also done the closing cost assistance. They're working on other assistance. They working for paying for creation of covenant lots, which has had an uptick the last year. CPC has the money to fully fund the $5 million request without taking away from any other grants that we want to make this year. Several of these grants that we're making this year in the other categories aren't coming back again, because we would have finished with a lighthouse, we would have finished with the Congo Church, we finished with the Unitarian and the Methodist churches. So it's sort of hit or miss as who's coming back, probably the NHA. At a time when housing is universally regarded as the #1 issue confronting the island, and everybody has agreed with that, which many other issues have roots in, does the CPC really want to be putting more money into pickleball courts than housing? Because when you look at the 3 designations this year, affordable housing has the least amount of money given to it in favor of the other projects. So to say that we don't have enough money to give to other projects is not actually correct. Even if the CPC grants the full request, only 23%, as Ken explained all the percentages. So I'm a little disturbed by that. And on top of the fact that this housing issue, as I said yesterday, is not going to go away. It's going to keep going because there just isn't enough housing stock restricted at the moment. The cost of money right now is very, very cheap. So somebody mentioned yesterday looking at it next year and doing another 2.5. That's ridiculous. They need to have the money now so it's available next year on July 1, because the cost of money could go up and as I said, if the CPC goes away tomorrow, the town has to undertake the payment of the bond. So I think we need to just get a grip here and do what is best for the community at large and the people, as opposed to a pickleball court. And I was in favor of granting them funding because we have it. So even if we do the 350 this year, we're still at our cap. We're not exceeding our cap. No one else has to be cut. We can pay for everything that we've already allocated without adjusting anybody down. And to adjust somebody down just because is just not acceptable to me. That's my personal opinion, being a longtime CPC member and a housing advocate and on the housing trust and on the housing authority and involved with housing for long time, and having been subjected for years to the summer shuffle. I know what it feels like to be dragging around a kid, a dog, and a cat. So I just think we really need to reconsider this and vote in favor of it. And as we accrue the 350 a year, by the time they get to borrowing the money, we're not borrowing 5 million, we're borrowing probably under 4, if not closer to 3. And it would be less than 15 years and the payment would be less a year. So there's variables going forward because we are putting the money, setting aside the money until they actually borrow it. So I think we're being foolish not to give them the full amount.
Other comments?
Ken, since I'm here and I have my 15 minutes, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I regret that I wasn't able to attend the meeting yesterday. I did have this trip scheduled for months. I thought we were going to be engaging in September, not October. That being said, when I look at my rough numbers, as I send a summary with what I think are reasonable requests, I agree there's 10% that we have to give towards affordable housing. And over the past 3 years that I've been a part of this board and voted on it, we've generally been allocated between $2.9 and $3.4 million. On occasion, we have open space, such as this year, for an extra $130,000. So if my numbers are correct, we're dealing with about 3.5 $3.0 to work with. So when I look at the affordable housing, the 10% that we're really required to give each year, that's roughly about $350,000 of the $3.5 million that we're looking at this year. Now, I understand that if we allocate this extra $5 million bonds, we're going to be on the hook for $350 combined with the previous bond. But I like to look at it as if we're meeting our quota of 10% of our available funds each year, and we're applying it towards this, and we still have the luxury of other funds that are available to us that we can use for this. So, and I made a reference to this when we had our deliberations. I said, keep in mind that we're going to be, I understand Tim's position, but also I understand that it's no more or less than what we would be required to spend each year anyway. So I think going in each year with $350,000, knowing that we have it, I would agree with this because this is a critical time when interest rates are very low. We can get into this and commit to this, and it won't affect our bottom line if anything. We're actually saving money in the future. So that's my 2 cents. For what it's worth, thank you all for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you. Other comments? Are we ready to go to a vote?
I'll call the question, Mr. Chairman.
Well, that requires a vote, so let's just go to a vote. Calling the
I-
question requires a vote.
No, if there are no other comments, I will go directly to a vote. A vote, yes, indicates a recommendation of an allocation of $350,000 to the Affordable Housing Trust for the creation of a $5 million bond. A vote no puts us in a situation where we have an existing motion that was approved yesterday for an allocation of, I think it's $186,000 for the creation of a $2.5 million bond. So all those in favor of the vote relative to the $350,000, and I will start with John since he is on the phone. And so John, yes or no?
Yes.
Diane, yes or no?
She's muted.
Yes, I guess so.
Tim,
No.
Linda,
Yes,
Mark,
No,
Jack,
No.
Dawn,
Yeah.
Neville.
No.
Chair votes yes. There are 5 yes votes, 4 no votes. The motion to fund for $350,000 passes. Thank you all for the discussion. What I will do is I will, I'll get to this later in terms of the final version that I will present for review on our meeting on October 19th with the exact language, because there needs to be language relative to the creation of the bond in addition to language relative to the $350,000 allocation. Let us then move on to reconsideration of item number 1 with respect to the building envelope preservation 2 and 6 Myacomet Road, and the motion that was passed yesterday was for $342,367.
Mr. Chairman, we could cut to the chase, because with that 350, I think Mark Beal and I had the same figure. With the that change to the 350, we are at our cap with funding everything that we funded yesterday. So it may not be necessary to go through every single one again. We have enough money to fund everything, including the 350, and still be under 3.5.
Is there, are there, then let me phrase it differently. Are there any items that any of the commissioners would like to have reconsidered to change the funding that we approved yesterday? Is the committee
Yes.
comfortable with, is that committee comfortable with that with that approach?
I would like to consider NISDA.
Okay. Anyone else, any other item that anyone would like to consider so that we know which of the items that we need to take a look at?
We funded everybody else fully except for that one.
Okay. Then as a committee, are we agreeable to discuss that and just determine what we're going to do with respect to NISDA and then be in a position to move forward to have me present to you at our regular meeting on October 19th, the language of the warrant article, including the language relative to the amount of the funding of the bond. Is that an appropriate way to proceed? I don't see anybody objecting. So then let's open the discussion with respect to NISDA. Do you have a motion, Diane, that you would like us to consider?
I would like you to consider, I'm not sure of the amount, because I had 5 meetings yesterday on Zoom and my mind was a little. What is, could I ask Glenna what the total amount was that we said to fund for NISDA?
148,205.
It was for
No,
the
I-
148,705.
705.
705, and it was for the long shed and for the long shed and the silo.
All right, I would like to say, we need to fund it for 336,670. $336,670. And I have a breakdown of everything from what they asked for. I want to start off first to correct a statement that there are 5 family members were on the board. That is not true. And to be put down because of that, I find unhappy. One is Kathy Kelm. One is Denise Allen. She has nothing to, any relation to Kathy at all. Tucker Cronin is her son. Laura Herschel is the secretary, has no relation, and Carol Putnam is also not. That's the board. And the advisors to the board is Larry Cronin, Carol Ellenberg, and Gail Frost, and Duncan Slade. So I think that should be corrected. What they are up against at this moment is, and the other correction is the foundation for the silos were not rebuilded, not touched, not done anything except he did the banding and coming down and he put on new tops on both silos. Right now, they have in Wauwinet, not just on NISDA's property, but they have a water problem, a large water problem. And that has to be addressed, contended with, and sorted out between the people who live there and the town and the water department. I don't know. It's very complicated. But the silo has got cracks coming down and a major crack coming all the way down to the bottom, which has developed over this year, whether because of the water underneath or what, it's being looked into. The heifer bar has to come over from the other side, moved and put up and reinforced, as does the long barn. But they have cut down all that business. So they have reduced their request from 734,023 to 33,366. So they have gone to long ends to do that, to see what they can do with this year. One of the things on the silo is they have to get there's very few special engineers in this country that do these silos. They have to get the man from Florida to come up and look at it for which they're paying over $7,000 just to have him come. And then they have to get, there has to be an engineer here to watch what is going on and check it out every few days to see that it's going along. They have studied this very carefully on the people that they have picked, the information that they have, and reduced the amount. They have the silo project they've reduced, the heifer barn they've reduced, they have taken out completely the historic landscape. They've taken out the safety system. They've reduced all those. And this is, as I think it was Timmy brought up, that it was important to maintain the smaller instances that need to go. This is a historic farm, the last one. They are doing their very best to have it go and to be reduced from 700,000 down to 134. So we can do, as usual, the housing and the rest of the stuff. NISTA should get as much share that they are up for. The preservation of things that they had went to Michael May, but he left. And then they went to the next leader and he got sick. Then they went back.
That's resolved, Diane. We know that the preservation restriction is done. So is there a list of the items? Do we have something from them to identify what the $336,670 is for?
Yeah, wait a minute. I have,
I have a list if you don't have one, Diane.
well, you use your, Neville, you'll probably put it
Okay.
together than I am.
Well, so
I just
do
wanna
you want me
point
to?
out, Mr. Chairman, before we start this list, that I don't know why we're talking about the silos. We voted yesterday to fund the silos and the long shed in full. Those are the two items we did vote to do. So I don't know why we're talking about the silos again.
I guess because we're asking for more money than you,
Yeah.
that you suggested. I guess that's why we're doing it. We can do that too.
No, I would like to have Neville provide the information to the committee, what is
Thank you.
included in the $336,670 number that you have spoken to relative to your motion.
I would be glad to, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I would like to start now with the long shed. On the long shed, $7,350. That's to work on the rising groundwater.
Yep.
On the this is still the long shed. Structural engineer analysis of the work due to the increasing rising groundwater. Then we have a contractor work advised by the engineer to further protect the long barn shed for $34,000. And those two figures come up to $41,350. That's for the long shed.
So
On
that
the-
the long shed is 34 and 73 is 41,350. So that's for the long shed.
Correct.
Yep. Okay.
On the silos.
Yep.
On the silos, we have the work to remediate the aging impact to ensure the structural integrity of the building of the silo. That comes in at $26,360.
Yep.
Then there's the building permit. It comes in for $3,890. There's a legal rep that comes in at $3,250. There is a structural remediation contractor that comes in at $32,500. And that comes in and there is a structural engineer silo specialist to analyze and design the project and the course of action that comes in, that was reduced from $18,000 to $6,250. And that comes into a total of $72,250. And then on the heifer bond, we have, okay. On the heifer bond, we have a site plan with drawing and the project manager for $8,200. The structural engineer design on the foundation to receive the heifer bond, $9,720. The heifer bond, the tree removals and the grading and all of that, to get the bond over $9,805. Contractor excavation, crawl space, and the backfill, etc. That comes in and the pouring of the crawl space, that comes in at $73,000. The build connector between the east silo and move to the heifer bond, that comes in at $68,000. To reestablish the historic profile and build the north and south barn doors to install the roof vents, that comes in at $54,300. Okay, and that's a total of $223,070. Hello?
Yep. Okay, so
That's
that,
it. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
and that number comes to 336,670.
336,670. Correct.
Right, do you have comments on this now at some point?
Yes, we will get to that, Linda. Are there any other points of clarification with respect to the information to the committee as to the makeup of the request for 336,670? Seeing no hands, I will then take comments with respect to the proposed motion.
Okay. I am not one of those that parses individual pieces of a project. Project one is the heifer barn. I think the land bank needs to be more involved with that. Project two is the silos. Something critical was left off that silo list. I didn't hear it mentioned. The construction of the silo floor platforms, which will stabilize the silos. That was left off. That's 13,000 bucks. So I don't get it. But I don't understand what happened there because that doesn't add up this way. And why, and who reduced the structural engineer for specialists from 18,750 to 6,250? I don't know how we have any expertise to do that. That's a hard cost. So I'm absolutely opposed to touching anything on those silos other than the full amount, which we felt was important because we had already paid for it. You can't parse out part of that project. When you go over to the long shed, we've already put money into this long shed, which is why we voted for the 5955, because I don't mind leaving out the screens and all that crap, but I think there's a reason why that stuff is in there. So I'm not as crazed about leaving out about $9,000 there, except that it seems to be all part of what we already paid for the long shed. When you get to the heifer barn, the land bank needs to be involved here. I don't know how they're involved, but they're involved. And I don't think we can parse out any of this because having a background in construction here, and John's probably in there also. You got all these little things here and you can't do part of it without doing the rest of it. So that's insane. You don't want to do all this stuff without the utilities. You don't want to do all this stuff without some of the other parts that are involved with the water, the plumbing, all this upgrade, because you can't even touch the barn, the heifer barn, without all the rest of it. I don't care about the legal ZBA and the negotiations. Some people can do that for free. We got all the building permits, the Concom, that's going to be a lot more than that, by the way. They absolutely have to have the botanists and the research because of the wetlands, because they're not going anywhere with any of this on the heifer barn until they go to the Concom. I should know. So this parsing out the heifer barn without doing the whole heifer barn, which is the largest part of their request, which is $529,620 is ridiculous. Because they can't do any of this stuff without some of the stuff that was left off the list. So I, for one, am not changing my idea, what I voted for yesterday. I don't mind cutting off some of the other stuff on the other side, but, you know, and we got Project 5, which is pretty negligible. That's small, but I'm not sure we can fund that. But I'm not.
What is
willing to-
Project 5, Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with Project 5. What's Project 5
Project
that has to do with
5.
this, what we're talking about now?
Right, but I'm saying we've got a little pieces of things all over the place, which are much less expensive than the heifer barn. But I think splitting up the heifer barn isn't going to get you anywhere because you need some of the rest of this to even go there. So
Okay.
I just, I'm not changing my vote, but I think we need to fully fund everything involved with those silos. Particularly, you cannot leave out the platforms on the east and west for those silos. That's not going to happen. So I
Chairman?
am not in favor of.
I would like to
the silos.
ask,
Mr. Chairman?
Just a
Yeah.
minute. I'm going to recognize Mr. Richin.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, here is some concerns of Ms. Williams. The survey, botanist and research site plan, wetlands, HGC and Concom permits. The NISDA and Land Bank are sharing that expense, and that comes to $4,800. Val Oliver is donating to the HGC application preparation and permitting expenses. And the legal ZBA negotiation, that comes to $5,000. These are things that she was saying was left out. Debris removal and tipping fee. NISDA is going to ask the town to forgive tipping fees as they did for the cottages and the demo, for the cottage demolition. That comes to $7,500. Going down, the required, where are we? The building connected between the thing. It's required to return the heifer to its original profile per the easement restriction, per the PIN easement restriction. That's that $68,000 thing there. And then there is the, here we are, required to return the heifer bound to its original profile per PIN on the easement restriction. There are all these things that they took off, but they give an explanation as to like what is going on with it. We can go on with the others.
Did we ever get anything in writing from them about this stuff?
Yeah, I
No.
have it right. That's what I'm reading right now.
Well, we don't have it. The office doesn't have it. Ken hasn't had it. We haven't seen it. So I don't know how you two got it, but we don't have it.
Well, it
That's
is my
my problem.
project. So I'm talking on I'm just speaking on my project.
Yeah.
This
But
is
this
stuff
is-
that I require.
Okay,
Okay.
but this is part of our deliberations and I don't have it.
I understand. That's
And
why I'm
that's not
reading it.
fair.
I'm reading it to you right now.
But that's not good enough, Neville. I'm
All
sorry.
right, let's
I don't know
end
why you're
this
arguing with
discussion.
me.
Let's end this
Ridiculous.
discussion right now, please, Linda.
Ridiculous.
Are there any other members who would like to comment on the information that was provided as a support for a motion in favor of $336,670?
John is still here, by the way. Do you want to see if he has anything to say? He's getting on the boat.
What I'm doing is I'm opening up to anybody that has any comments, additional comments, before we vote on the motion that has been made by Diane to change the funding for NISDA to $336,670. I do not see any hands or any indication that anyone wants to vote on it at this point in time. Therefore, I will do a vote, and I will start as long as I have John Trudell still being able to answer on his phone before he swims down the river in France. A yes vote is in favor of the $336,670. A no vote leaves the funding at the $148,705 that we voted approved yesterday. Those in favor, John Trudell.
No.
No. Diane Coombs,
yes,
Tim Savarino,
come on, Timmy.
Diane, that's not appropriate.
Yes, sorry about that.
Linda,
No.
Mark Beal,
No.
Jack Gardner,
No.
Dawn Holgate,
No.
Neville Richard,
I think no, he didn't freeze.
Neville, yes or no?
I said yes,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
yes.
Chair votes no. The motion does not pass. So we are at the allocation that we were yesterday, which is $148,705.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to take the votes, to take the amounts that we have voted in, take the whole slate of them, so we don't have to go through them one at a time since we're under our budget.
Is that satisfactory to people? The motion should then also indicate that I will prepare the draft warrant for consideration, the language of each of the awards and the amounts for consideration at the regular scheduled meeting on October 19th for the board to review the language, but not to review the allocations. Is that agreeable to everyone? I don't see any no's. Okay, so on Linda's motion, which is to, in fact, take the awards as we discussed yesterday with the one amendment to the vote that we had today on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. All those in favor? John, if he's still there.
We didn't have a second.
Yep. John will second.
Second, I don't know if we had a second.
Okay, John seconds and your vote is yes or no?
Yes, aye.
Diane?
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
No.
Tim?
Tim's on mute, I think.
My apologies. I vote in support.
Linda?
Yes.
Mark?
Aye.
Jack?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Neville? And chair votes
Reluctant.
aye.
I didn't vote yet, Mr.
I
Oh,
didn't
Chairman.
sorry.
have-
I want a reluctant support. I want it just like that.
Well, it's either yes or no under the bylaws.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there's something that happened that I did not appreciate. And I know we're in the public right now, in the public eye. I do not like to be criticized by Ms. Williams when I'm working on a project and being called names. I don't like that. I don't appreciate it. And if that's the way it's going to be, I can't continue.
No,
I
If that's how,
I never
that's
called
how-
you a name.
if
I
that's,
never
if,
will call you a name.
Mr.
So
Chairman,
don't keep
Mr.
going.
Chairman,
Linda,
Mr.
please,
Chairman.
let Neville
Mr.
finish,
Chairman.
I'm
please.
not going to be accused of
Mr.
something I
Chairman.
did not do either.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
just
Mr.
like
Richard.
I'm being interrupted now, that's how I was interrupted before. And if that's how we're going to be doing it, if we're always going to be interrupted because on a party does not agree with the position a person take, they're going to be criticized in that way. That is not the way to conduct a meeting, and it's not the way for a public forum to take place.
Your comments are noted, and I apologize if I did not prohibit that from happening. That is not the way that this committee has worked in the past, and this committee allows comment, looks for the ability to disagree in a respectful manner, and to the extent that I allowed that to happen, I apologize. I would thank all of you for participation in this. These meetings are because of the fact that we all are very passionate about this community and very passionate about things that go on in this community. We are likely to have kinds of different opinions, and those opinions need to be respected, and no one is to be considered sort of against something that we vote on simply because of the fact that they have concerns with respect to it, and those concerns need to be respected. So I know that these votes these votes are public, but I think the fact of the matter is that what has always been the position of this committee is that having made a determination with respect to where we're going, we all support that decision, whether or not we have agreed with it or not. And so I expect each of the committee members, when questioned with respect to that, saying, this is the position of the committee. We've had virulent discussion with respect to it, and this is where we come, and this is our recommendation. It is not open for discussion relative to reopening the issues. We've had the opportunity to do it. Yes, some of the votes have been close, but the fact of the matter is that we need to respect the process, and the process says when the majority wins, the majority is the point of view, and that's the role of our committee to make this as a recommendation of our committee to town meeting. So I appreciate that, and I hope everybody understands that. Mark?
We have a hand.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken. I have a question for you, Jack. Ken, on an unrelated topic. That is, I'm sitting here looking at 40 pounds of applications. What is the tradition of doing with those applications?
The tradition of doing with those applications is, in fact, for each of you who have this nice package of firewood, we would ask that you dispose of it properly, and because there will always be copies of what was there and any documentation in the offices of the CPC. So we would ask that you not just throw it in the garbage so somebody else could pick it up, but that dispose of it properly with respect to, although there's nothing in it that somebody can't have, but what you found sometimes in the past is people choose to, in fact, take things out of context in order to try and raise issues that are inappropriate. So,
Mr.
Thank
Chairman,
you.
what
Thank
might be helpful to mark is that on your projects, I tend to keep the scope of the project in a folder because it's your ongoing project. And if there's a question about whether a requisition request falls within the scope of your project, it's very helpful for you to have actually just that section, not the 1099s, but just that section.
yeah, and one of the things that will come next is that once these are approved, we will in fact allocate project managers to new projects and different projects. If there are no other issues to be raised, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn and remind everyone that we're meeting on October 19th at 9 a.m.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Pardon me,
Mhm.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Hold on, John.
No, that's October 19th at 10.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna
October
say
19th
10.
at 10. Yeah.
John made a motion to adjourn.
John, is there a
Second.
second? Second by Dawn. All those in favor? Neville,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
John, and the chair votes yes. Thank you all for all of your input, for all of your hard work, and for the really thoughtful process that you participated in terms of getting to where we are. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Ken.